Hi, this is our presentation on Unit 4, Understanding Discipline in the Uniform Public Services. Me and Rav will be presenting the presentation, and Rav will be leading off the presentation just in a moment. The introduction to this PowerPoint presentation is we're basically talking about conformity and obedience within the public services, and we're going to be giving out examples of where obedience and conformity will be working alongside in public services and how it makes it such a strong emergency unit, and so everyone comes together as a team and how it works so well. The next slide is going to be conformity, which Rav's going to be leading off with.
Okay, conformity. The definition of conformity is yielding to a group pressure that is given into command by a group. A change in belief or behaviour in response to real or imaginative group pressure where there is no direct request to comply with the group nor any justice or any reason to justify the behaviour change. Conformity is an act to change, is to act or behave in accordance with established practice. Low self-esteem and worried about personal relationship and the need for social approval is conformity. Compliance with common practices. Compliance is to act in accordance with a wish or command. When we comply to something, we act in accordance with a request or command to perform any task, such as it could be spoken or unspoken. When you complete the task requested, you have performed an act of compliance. Members of the public services comply with common practices every day without realising it, such as in the army, lower ranks would salute the higher ranks as a mark of respect, and therefore the higher ranks would actually would return the salute. That is called common practice. Compliance. Members of the public services comply with common practices every day. Compliance is either a state of being in accordance with established guidelines or specifications, or the process of becoming some. The definition can also mean that that can impress efforts into ensure that organisations are abiding by both industrial regulations and government legislations. When you comply with certain people, you may be said to conforming because you are acting in accordance with established practices. Social norms. There are two types of social norms, two types of conformity: rational and irrational. Rational conformity is led by coherent thinking, judgment, and the use of reasoning. Irrational is far more primitive than rational, and it's mainly negative. Social norms. It's a well-known fact that people like to share their beliefs and attitudes and live in societies. Social norms are unwritten rules about how they behave. They provide us with an expected idea on how to behave in a particular social group or culture. For an example, we expect students to arrive on time and complete their tasks, for example their work and any other homework. The idea of the norms provide a key understanding of social influence in general and conformity in particular. Social norms are expected and accepted standards of behaviour of social groups. These groups range from friendships and work groups to national states. Behaviour with it, which fulfil these norms, are called conformity, and most of the time roles and norms are powerful ways of understanding and predicting what people will do. The role of self-esteem. I think the importance of self-esteem cannot be underestimated. It affects your behaviour and thoughts, and it changes how you feel about and how you value yourself. Why should it matter to you? Self-esteem affects your self-image, it affects your happiness, it affects the way you think, causing your outlook to be either positive or negative. It affects the difference between success and failure, and it also affects your confidence. If you lack self-confidence or self-esteem, you may be tempted to act out in character in order to gain respect, such as teenagers might be drinking or smoking because that's what the members of the group do. It will show that the group is conforming, which may persuade the group to accept them as a member. The purpose of uniform. The purpose of uniform are considered a symbol of unity, pride and authority, especially those worn by the public service employees. They are recognisable and members of the public can relate to the personnel who wear them. Uniforms also offer protection and security to officers who wear them. If the workforce wears the same clothing to the workplace, then they have a shared feeling of commonness and belonging, which otherwise is very difficult to get and to achieve. People wearing uniform are more caring for their fellow colleagues. They care not only for their growth, but for the growth of their peers as well. The relevance of conformity in public services. Everyone who joins in the public services do so knowing that they're going to be a part of the team. Teamwork is very important in any service. All members want to be accepted in a team. In order to do so, they must conform to the norms of that team. If one member does not conform and not only does it risk that member of not being accepted, but it endangers the morale and performance of the rest of the team. Every member of the uniformed public services wants to feel accepted and that they belong to a team of professionals, otherwise they would not have joined that particular service. Teamwork is very important in any service as it is vital in achieving effective outcomes. It is important to deal with that member who is not conforming and to remind them that if they do want to continue to be accepted, then they must learn to conform. Obedience. In the public services, you are expected to obey orders and commands from those in authority. Obedience is similar to conformity in that it is a form of compliance. Unlike conformity, obedience means that you must comply with orders and commands. If you do not obey a command from a higher authority, then you are most likely to face disciplinary procedures for disobedience. Obedience as an act is obeying orders given by someone in authority, and if you are obedient, then you are carrying out or willing to carry out those orders. Obedience is an essential part of employment in the public services. It ensures that the public service employees are well disciplined. Respect and trust is also developed due to obedience. Employees that are well disciplined. Colleagues in the public services need to be able to depend on each other to complete tasks effectively. They must also be able to trust each other and let them all play a part in their task. Obedience is strictly enforced within the armed forces, such as if a military officer or leader shouts out a command, they are expected to follow. It is part of obedience and compliance. Obedience as an act, as a practice or quality. The practice of obedience makes the services effective, efficient and disciplined, and be able to respond to situations quickly, which allows mutual respect, trust, and to those who are involved. Following orders is an essential element in the public services. Orders that are given by people in the authority with intention of reaching an objective efficiently and effectively. Verbal commands are not only the type of order in the public services, there are also written rules and regulations concerning the conduct of personnel manner called standing orders. Each order is given for a reason which must be followed to prevent any consequences to you or your colleagues, to the service or the member of the public. Obedience means you know where you fit into that service, and that you must trust those who are in authority, who have more experience, who will have good decisions for you to carry out your service. Conscious and unconscious obedience. Conscious obedience is where you are fully aware of that order, is that you are following orders, whereas if you are unconscious obedient, you have done it so many times that you have no longer realised you're still doing it. Obedience can be conscious or unconscious. New recruits in the public services may find it strange and hard to obey orders from a higher rank. That is just second nature. This will then become unconscious obedience. This form of obedience is effective in emergency situations when needed for an instant response. Compliance means to accord to a wish or command. For example, if a higher officer is giving orders, the lower ranks would have to comply, whether they want to or not. However, compliance is also the same as obedience, because as a member of the public services, you have to act or comply in accordance with the order from a higher authority. Authority, the power or right to give orders, make decisions and enforce obedience. The right to act in a specific way, delegated from one person or organisation to another. The power to influence others, especially because of one's commanding manner or one's recognised knowledge about something. Authority is to be able to give power, is the power to or right to give orders, make decisions and to enforce obedience. Authority is based upon over others. The police have authority over people because they have to follow the law. Furthermore, the law has authority over them. If no one obeys the law, then punishments are put into place. For example, if you commit a crime, you will then be prosecuted in the court of law. The role of police authorities in complaints commission. The role of police authorities in the complaint forms part of their core duties around promoting the efficiency and effectiveness of policing locally. Police authorities have statutory duties in relation to complaints to keep informed about the complaint and discipline matters within their force, provide the IPCC, Independent Police Complaints Commission, with the information and document about to carry out this function, including inspection, ensuring that the Independent Police Complaint Commission or person nominated for it has access to the police premises and materials within the premises during the course of an investigation, ensuring that the investigating officer is given all the assistance reasonably required, refer complaints or misconduct matters to the IPCC when the Chief Police has decided not to. The HM Chief Inspector of Prisons, Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Prisons for England and Wales, is an independent inspectorate in which reports on conditions and treatments of those in prison, young offenders institutions and immigration detention facilities. Is also to provide independent of the conditions and for the treatments of prisoners and other detainees, promoting the concept of healthy prisons in which staff can work effectively to support prisoners and detainees to reduce reoffending or achieve other agreed outcomes. Nature of authority, power, the ability to force or concur someone to do to your will, even if they would choose not to, because your position or your might is higher than theirs. Position in